Our next group of speakers is from Johnston County Schools. They are led by Jennifer Lawson, the school nutrition director for Johnston, who is a former cheerleader. And while she's no longer on the sidelines of basketball or football games, as a third-generation school nutrition employee, Jennifer describes herself as a cheerleader for her program, her staff, and their mission to feed children.
Thank you. We are so excited to be here today to share our story. We hope that our experience motivates other districts to implement innovative breakfast options, increase school meal participation, and ultimately enrich the minds and bodies of children in North Carolina. As you will hear over the course of today's presentations, unfortunately, childhood hunger is still a serious problem in our nation. And when data was collected at a school level, 3 out of 4 teachers said that they teach kids who regularly come to school hungry. In 22, students had to once again qualify for a free, reduced, or paid lunch status. Many districts like my own saw a large increase in student meal debt. Our district alone had over $200,000. So we determined that our goal was going to be to provide meals at no cost to as many Johnston County students as possible. All schools, with the exception of 5, qualified to participate in the Community Eligibility Provision, also known as CEP. This program allows high-need schools to offer breakfast and lunch to all students at no cost to the household, regardless of socioeconomic status. There are so many benefits to this program, but my favorite and the most significant is that it removes the stigma that school meals are only for low-income students. And while CEP has so many positive benefits, there is a financial risk associated with that program if your district doesn't qualify at 100% free rate. And so during our evaluation, we determined that our programs would need to see at least a 37% increase at breakfast and lunch. So we knew we were going to have a pilot year, 23-24, and we had some work to do in order for this program to be sustainable and successful. So we decided to focus on increasing breakfast participation by allowing schools to select an innovative breakfast program. We worked on establishing what our goals would be. We reviewed our 22-23 school year site participation, and then we determined how many more students would we need to participate in our breakfast program in order for us to meet our district goal. We shared this initial data with principals, assistant principals, and cafe managers, and used a Google Sheet to track that data from week to week. So we had our goals established, and then we looked for our team. Together, everyone achieves more. You see, a team isn't only a group of athletes who come together to compete in a sport or a game. It's a group of talented people, much of like what is here today, that come together to collaborate, to achieve extraordinary results. And that could not be more true when it comes to innovative breakfast programs. It truly takes individuals from multiple disciplines to achieve success. So we have our goals, and then we've established our team. So who is on our team? Who's going to be on your team? It's everyone from the superintendent to the students. You are going to need buy-in from all of them in order to drive participation. Remember that senior leadership sets the tone for site-based leadership, and site-based leadership sets the tone for teachers and staff in their areas, and so on. So how do you get that buy-in? It all goes back to the message of school breakfast changes lives. Students that consume a healthy breakfast, we all know, have higher rates of attendance, better test scores, and are more likely to graduate. These goals, I think that we all can understand that this is the driving reason that why we do what we do. We have our goals, our team, and now it's time to establish our playbook, our plan. You must work with your team. And how we did this is we had a virtual meeting with all of our principals, and we went over what that would look like for each site. And then that principal had an opportunity to take that playbook to their team and customize it for their building. We talked about what training would look like, focused on marketing and branding, communication, what food and supplies that we needed, including janitorial. That's a big one. Don't forget that. Equipment, technology, the placement of equipment, what each individual role would be, and of course, our student needs. For marketing, we really put a lot of emphasis on this, and we talked about driving that message to our community through our summer information fair, our parent gazette. We sent multiple Connect Ed calls to the community. We posted social media posts. On our next slide, you will see this is a flyer that we sent out to all of our students during the second semester. It was just as important to continue to send this information not only at our back to school events, but also throughout the year. Next slide, please. Promotions were really a driving factor to participation. So we all know March Madness is getting ready to start. So this is our upcoming promotion, Moo Brew Madness. We are getting ready to kick off Moo Brew Madness events in our high schools in order to encourage students to participate in our school meal program. So every student receives a reimbursable meal will also have access to our Moo Brew iced coffee. Next slide. And so this is a visual of that program. And now joining me is Miss Polenta from Polenta Elementary School. She has really been a champion of this breakfast program. She hit the ground running from day one, and I would like for her to come up here and share her experience.
Well, as you've heard, in order for this to be successful, which it can be for every single district, it takes a very thoughtful and proactive approach. You can hear from Miss Lawson, this was not something on a whim. She really thought through how we are going to lay this out for our district. So as soon as she presented the options to principals, I was like, I'm in. I'll do any option I can. I'm at a school of over 1,000 children, pre-K through 5th grade, and I knew the impact it could have on my campus if every child could have breakfast every morning with no stigma attached. That is worth a cowbell, yes. So it took a very thoughtful approach for me as well to lay it out to our staff and to our community and our kids. And so we kind of had three main things, education, information, and motivation. We knew we had to educate our staff on the importance of breakfast in a child's overall performance in school. We shared what our overall goals were for breakfast and lunch participation. And then my staff weekly email every single week, we tell the staff what we hit on Monday. How many breakfasts did we serve? How many lunches did we serve? Because for us, those are children that we know are going to be successful because they have a nutritious meal. And this information helps all of our staff members because then they feel ownership in the process. It's not just me pushing something, it's all of us helping our kids move forward. And to motivate our students, so when the kids come in the door from like carpool, I greet them with what we're having for the day. Hey guys, wouldn't you love a crispy chicken biscuit this morning? Wouldn't that be delicious? What about, bacon, egg, and cheese? Who doesn't like a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit? And I'll tell you, those small comments, we laugh, it seems funny, but those small comments will get a kid to go to that breakfast line. And they'll take a breakfast because they're like, oh, I do like a crispy chicken biscuit. Bacon, egg, and cheese does sound good this morning. And so those little small things that we do help motivate our students. And we've seen it have a huge impact. And it's normalized it at our school. It is very normal for every child to get breakfast and lunch at my school now. So as you can see, we've done a lot of work, but our average last year, we were serving roughly 214 breakfasts in the morning. To this year, we've had an increase of 148%. We now serve an average of 388 breakfasts every morning. And I know this is about breakfast, but lunch, we're hitting almost 700 daily, a free lunch. So we offer a cart, a self-service cart when they come in, and it's grab and go. So all of my car riders, it was important for us to have easy access to eliminate anything that might be a roadblock for a child, any anxiety at all. So the second they enter the door from carpool, there's a cart right there where they can self-serve, grab and go, take it back to their classroom. My bus riders, when they enter, there's another station. They go right into the cafeteria. They can grab it. And then the best part is my staff were so behind this that they wanted a K1 cart because they thought my littles are going to be a little anxious about going to a big cafeteria, and they might be a little nervous about a big breakfast line at the front of the school. And so we also have a cart when our staff allows at the K1 hallway for my littles, so they don't have to worry about that anxiety. So it's been huge for our campus and really removing roadblocks. And we've put together a little video for you to kind of see what it looks like.
I'm Jennifer Lawson, Director of School Nutrition Services for Johnston County Public Schools. We are thrilled that 43 of our sites qualified for the Community Eligibility Provision, also known as CEP. Now, what this means is that students that attend a qualifying site will receive breakfast and lunch at no cost to the household.
What I like best about the breakfast stations is like how you have different options and there's two ways to get it. So if you go bus, you can go through that way, and if you go through carpool, you can just go straight.
Since the beginning of the year, since we've had the options of having it in different locations, as well as I will say since we've started having multiple choices for kids, we've seen a high increase in our participation rate here. Kids are eager to go get breakfast. At first, at the beginning of the year, they may have been a little nervous because it's something new. Everybody gets a little nervous sometimes when it's something new, but now they see the routine of it and the other kids doing it. It's normalized now for people to get breakfast and go to the one nearest where they come in the door. So we've seen a huge participation rate, their confidence level, and then anytime you can give a kid breakfast to start their day, you're giving them a great start, a great platform for which to learn. We say you have to fuel your mind with water and food. And so that gives them a great foundation for an incredible day to learn.
Breakfast is truly the most important meal of the day because a hungry child simply cannot learn well in the classroom. Studies show that consuming a healthy breakfast decreases tardiness, absenteeism, and behavioral-related issues. It increases academic performance and test scores. But here in Johnston County, it isn't just about the test scores. It's about the students' overall well-being. We want students to have access to a variety of high-quality menu items, fresh local produce, and have a healthy relationship with food.
And I'm going to turn it over now to Dr. Pearce. He's our Assistant Superintendent over Administrative and Auxiliary Services to share his perspective.
Good morning, everyone. I could just ring the cowbell and sit back down, right? Because you can see why we're having success. It's the people that are involved. That's why you have success. And so I'll take just a brief moment because I know we're running a little bit behind. But when I became a teacher, I never realized what I was getting ready to become. And the first week on duty, I was in the cafeteria, and I was like, I became a teacher not to have to pay for kids' meals. I didn't mind opening the milk cartons and the ketchup and all that. That's the fun part of being the teacher during lunchtime. But the kids that look at you and say, I don't have no money, and then you're having to reach in your pocket. And I said, if I ever get a chance, I'm going to fix that. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to fix that. If I ever, and little did I know that I would eventually move up into the ranks of education, become an assistant principal and then a principal, and then start targeting this thing where the community was really having to help us out with food insecurities. We had a Backpack Buddies program in our school from churches and from the food banks that were helping and what have you. And I had my next aha moment where I had a kid come one day, a big bandage on their hand. And I remember looking at him saying, what happened? He says, we don't have any can openers at our house. And the food we got, we had to open it, but we don't have it. And it just crushed me, just absolutely crushed me. And I said, we've got to figure it out. Well, we got into this time, unfortunately, with the pandemic, when all of a sudden it was figured out. We had food, people could get food, the roadblocks were torn down, and then all of a sudden we were coming near the end of it. And I don't mind telling you, anxious city fell on all of us. But we are in a place right now in Johnston County that I would go ahead and tell you, you all need to get on board with. You all need to go out and find it. You need to find your people who can carry your torch. And I just want to say this to you. An educator, most dreaded call is to a parent to tell them something negative. And for years, our principals have had to call parents and say, your child has a $10 balance. Your child has a $5 balance. They're going to have to get a special meal next week. So we're going to stigmatize the lunchroom even more because they get a special meal. They can't eat what everybody else does because we don't have money. And we have had debt prior to this process in Johnston County, anywhere from $200,000 to as much as $800,000 that we've had to pay. And that money is money that's not going to the academics of kids. And so I would just beg of you, as you've seen some great things, it is about marketing, it is about communication, it is about the whole picture, okay? It took us a little time to get started because everybody's like, there's no way you can do this. But we're in the moo brew swing now, as you can see, right? People are getting excited. And I would just say it takes great people getting them on board, communicating. And thank you all so much for what you do for public education and for us to be able to do this initiative. I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Lawson. And once again, we welcome you to come to Johnston County Schools. Today is Taco Tuesday, and everybody's excited, all right?
Thank you, Dr. Pearce. So just a few closing remarks that I'll leave with you today is I would just like to thank No Kid Hungry, Carolina Hunger Initiative, as well as Governor Cooper and his office. We are so very grateful for the grants that have provided us some financial support to be able to have programs like this and increase participation. The work that we do and that you all do is so very important. It truly is so important for every child should start the school day with a healthy breakfast. Funding is crucial to the success of our program sustainability, so please continue to advocate for our children and our programs. Use your resources. No Kid Hungry and the Carolina Hunger Initiative do a fabulous job with giving us a lot of resources. Give grace to one another. I think we all have learned that through the years. And last but not least, next slide, please. Keep pivoting.
Pivot! Pivot!
Thank you all so much.